I'm here today to talk to Peter Ingman, who is the CEO and the founder of MyNewsDesk, which is an exciting new idea. And Peter, I'd like to just ask you a few questions about that. What is your background and how did you come up with this concept?
I'm originally a management guy or a business guy, starting out from, started in Accenture like 95. And so I was very early to come in contact with the web. So I became a web entrepreneur and starting a web agency that later on became Stray Razorfish. And so I came about sort of the media and the PR industry through that. And so it was with my co-founder Christopher, who was on the content side of Stray, working as a journalist. So we figured out that we could disrupt the PR industry with web technology, because at the time you were more or less sending press releases through fax and occasionally through email.
So what is the concept of MyNewsDesk and what can it do for small businesses like mine?
The concept started by trying to help journalists with finding more interesting, compelling content directly from companies, rather than sitting and waiting for the content to come to them through fax and physically. And so we created this platform for companies to engage better with its key influencers. So that makes a company able to publish stuff that's interesting for them, that tells their community about them, why it's interesting to listen to them, and to put that out in a very effective, interesting way, so their influencers can actually find that content. And that works really fine with sort of the latest years development within social media. Because eventually those platforms makes it easier and easier for companies to communicate in a whole new manner. First of all, being a key influencer for a company is many things. So I think that we came from a notion of having the journalist as someone really important for a company. Something is added when all the bloggers came and you had Twitter influencers, etc., etc. So we think that adding the relationship between a company and directly to its key influencers, something interesting will happen. And so what we are adding as a value, not as a company or as a platform, but we're helping the companies to become their own media outlet and to be able to get the publishers a better story. And also closer relation to that company directly. So I think that I would say that the effectiveness through the communication through those two parties is what we're trying to achieve.
How do you cope with stories that are not in English? Because in Asia we have a lot of different languages.
Primarily you could say that sort of the interface is in English. We're started like that. But we have customers from 60 different countries, and everybody could set up their newsroom in whatever market they like. So we have a Bangladesh newsroom, or a Finnish newsroom, or a UK newsroom. And you actually choose, as a client, you choose what kind of language you would produce the content in. So you could have it in Finnish, or in Bangladesh, or in English. So it's up to you more or less. But the front end is still in English. And so that is something that we're going to work with here, especially here in Singapore, to sort of leverage on more languages on the interface in the Asian market.
I'm curious about your business model. How do you work, on a commission or an annual fee?
So it's free for the users, so the user can register if they like, or they can just get the content from the platform. But we charge the companies or the brands that are willing to expose themselves or engage with the target groups, and then they have a trial month, and then they just plainly decide on do it monthly or annually.
I know you have several offices in Scandinavia, but what brought you to Singapore? Why did you select Asia?
Singapore was actually our first sort of hub outside Scandinavia, and the reasons was two. The reasons were two. One of them being, sort of, if you look at Singapore in particular, but also the sort of surrounding markets, Malaysia, Indonesia, etc. They are you have a lot of users within, or the penetration regarding social media is very high. So that means that you also have a lot of companies that needs help in how to engage their audiences on those platforms, and we can help them do that. So that is one of the reasons. The other reason I would say is that the markets around here have proven to be very fast, very sort of developing really fast, vis-a-vis Europe or US, which is more that are slowing down. So I would say that Singapore is a great way for us to sort of expand our Asian operation and also help companies from those markets to expose their brand and to get relations here in Asia, and also get the brands here travel over to Europe and US. So it's a way for us to have hubs in Singapore, London and New York to help clients to become truly global with their brand building.
Could you just explain what the benefits are to the various stakeholders?
Being a stakeholder, in this case, so just disseminate that expression, is a stakeholder is someone who could be really interested in getting news or getting some kind of content from someone else. And so in order to be a stakeholder, the other party has to be really interested in what you're saying. So what we're seeing is that the value is when they two match. We were actually calling it, before MyNewsDesk, we called it matchmaker. So it's more about finding a way to matchmake the one that could be a stakeholder, a journalist, and the brand that wants someone to pay respect to what they're doing and what they try to communicate.
Peter, thank you so much for talking to AdAsia.